Two devastating air disasters in a single week have left America in shock and mourning. These back-to-back tragedies, one in Philadelphia and the other in Washington, D.C., have resulted in the loss of at least 74 lives. As authorities race to uncover the causes, serious concerns about aviation safety and air traffic control have been raised. How did these catastrophic accidents happen? Were they preventable? And what measures are being taken to ensure such tragedies never happen again? Stay with us as we uncover every detail of these heartbreaking incidents. Philadelphia Learjet 55 Air Ambulance Crash. On Saturday, January 31st, 2025, a Learjet 55 Air Ambulance crashed into a residential neighborhood in Philadelphia's Castor Gardens. The aircraft, operated by Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, was en route to Mexico, carrying a young girl who had just completed medical treatment in the U.S., along with her mother. The aircraft's mission was to safely return them home, but instead, it met a tragic fate shortly after takeoff. At around 2:45 p.m., the plane took off from Northeast Philadelphia Airport. Just minutes into the flight, the aircraft reached an altitude of 1,500 feet before suddenly losing control. According to witnesses, the jet began a rapid descent, clipping power lines before crashing into a densely populated residential area. The impact was devastating. A fiery explosion engulfed 11 homes, destroying them completely, while several nearby businesses also sustained severe damage. The crash claimed the lives of all 6 people aboard, including the young patient and her mother, 2 pilots, a medical crew member, and a flight nurse. Additionally, a bystander in a car was killed instantly as the wreckage struck the vehicle. Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker confirmed on Sunday that 22 others suffered injuries, with 3 remaining in critical condition. Emergency responders worked tirelessly to rescue trapped residents and extinguish the fires caused by the explosion. One resident described the horrifying scene. "I heard a loud boom, and within seconds, everything was on fire. We tried to help, but the flames were too intense. It was like something out of a nightmare." Investigation underway. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, quickly launched an investigation to determine what went wrong. Key evidence has already been recovered, including the cockpit voice recorder and the ground proximity warning system. Investigators are also examining air traffic control communications to understand whether any distress calls were made before the crash. Early reports suggest that a mechanical failure may have played a role in the accident. However, experts are also considering the possibility of human error or environmental factors such as bird strikes or sudden turbulence. Authorities are interviewing witnesses and examining maintenance records to piece together the final moments before impact. The destruction left in the wake of the crash has left the local community in mourning. Families have been displaced, and emergency shelters have been set up to provide aid. The city of Philadelphia has pledged financial assistance to help rebuild the affected homes and businesses. Mid-air collision in Washington, D.C. Just 2 days before the Philadelphia disaster, on January 29, 2025, the U.S. witnessed an even deadlier tragedy when an American Airlines jet collided mid-air with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River near Washington, D.C. The collision resulted in the deaths of all 67 people aboard both aircraft, making it the worst air disaster in the U.S. in over 2 decades. The American Airlines jet, identified as PSA Airlines Flight 5342, was a Bombardier CRJ-700 with 60 passengers and 4 crew members on board. The Black Hawk helicopter was conducting a routine training mission with 3 soldiers on board. The 2 aircraft were on a collision course during the jet's approach to runway 33 at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. At approximately 3:20 p.m., as the jet was descending towards the airport, it struck the Black Hawk helicopter at an altitude of about 300 feet. The impact caused both aircraft to break apart mid-air, with debris raining down into the Potomac River. Witnesses near the crash site described the terrifying sight of fireballs and plumes of smoke rising from the water. "I saw the plane coming in, and then suddenly, there was this loud explosion in the sky. Within seconds, pieces of metal were falling into the river. It was like something out of a movie," one eyewitness said. Search and recovery efforts rescue teams, including divers, emergency response units, and specialized recovery crews, were immediately dispatched to the scene to conduct search and rescue operations. The challenging conditions of the Potomac River, including strong currents and low visibility, have made the recovery process extremely difficult. Despite these obstacles, authorities have successfully recovered and identified 55 of the 67 victims. Advanced sonar technology and underwater drones are being utilized to locate the remaining bodies, with divers working tirelessly in shifts to ensure no effort is spared. Families of the victims have gathered near the site, anxiously awaiting updates from officials as recovery operations continue. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, and Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, are closely monitoring the progress, ensuring that every possible resource is deployed to bring closure to the grieving families. Recovery efforts are expected to persist for several more days as teams meticulously comb through the wreckage and surrounding areas. The cockpit voice recorder from the American Airlines jet was retrieved and has provided crucial insights. It captured the pilot's shocked reactions moments before impact, but it remains unclear whether any evasive maneuvers were attempted. Initial reports suggest that air traffic control may have played a role in the accident. Conflicting altitude flight data from the jet recorded an altitude of 325 feet, while air traffic control data indicated that the Black Hawk helicopter was flying at 200 feet, the maximum permitted altitude in the area. Investigators are trying to determine why the aircraft were in such close proximity and whether a miscommunication between the pilots and air traffic controllers led to the tragedy. Further complicating the investigation is the revelation that a single air traffic controller was responsible for managing both aircraft at the time of the collision. This has raised serious concerns about staffing shortages and the pressure placed on controllers to handle multiple flights simultaneously. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, has since imposed new temporary restrictions on helicopter traffic around Reagan National Airport and is reviewing staffing protocols, national response, and aviation safety concerns. The back-to-back tragedies have ignited widespread concern over aviation safety in the United States. With two catastrophic accidents occurring within days of each other, the public is demanding answers. Lawmakers have already begun calling for stricter regulations and increased oversight of air traffic control procedures.
The NTSB has promised a full and thorough investigation into both crashes. Preliminary findings are expected within the next 30 days, but full reports may take months to complete. Until then, families of the victims are left grieving, seeking justice for their loved ones. Airline safety expert Captain John Mitchell commented on the situation, saying, "While modern aviation is statistically very safe, these incidents highlight the vulnerabilities in our system. Whether it's a mechanical failure, pilot error, or an air traffic control mistake, we need to address the gaps and prevent further tragedies." A nation in mourning. As America grapples with these two devastating air disasters, the focus remains on the victims and their families. Memorial services are being held and communities are coming together to offer support. Across the country, discussions about improving aviation safety have intensified, and officials are under pressure to ensure such tragedies do not happen again. For those affected by these incidents, the pain is immeasurable. But in the face of tragedy, there is also resilience. The nation mourns, but it also learns and moves forward, determined to make air travel safer for all. In times like these, it is crucial for us to stand together and support those affected by these tragedies. If you would like to help, consider donating to verified relief funds set up for the victims' families. Stay informed as investigations continue, and let's work towards a future where such disasters are prevented. For more updates on this developing story, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Let's spread awareness and advocate for safer skies.